chapter is titled Round One because unfortunately, I would end up having to try that again, or try that thing again. We'll get to that a little later. I was extremely nervous the morning I was headed to Breakthroughs to start my sober journey. Still, I made sure to drink my ass off the night before. I remember telling myself, well, this is it. I thought that would be the last time alcohol touched my lips and decided to enjoy all the libation I could joyfully. What a terrible miscalculation. I arrived at Breakthroughs at 8:45 a.m. As I parked my car in front of the building, my heart started to pounding as if it were about to burst through my chest. I saw a small group of people standing off to the side in the area that I would soon become familiar with, the smoking section. They were laughing and talking, and everyone was smoking or vaping. I got out of my car, took a deep breath, and headed to the entrance. As I was opening the door, a young girl dressed in goth came up to me. "Hey, I'm Zola. First day, huh?" I smiled at Zola and told her that I was so nervous about this decision. She reassured me that it was going to be the absolute best decision I would ever make in my life. All I could think was, I damn sure hope you're right. I had that sentiment because I was still in the trenches. I still had alcohol running through my veins. The interesting thing about facing that fact is that I needed to stop drinking. I didn't believe in my heart that I could do it. Did you hear that part, y'all? That's really significant. I didn't believe at that point. Because remember, I had just, that's why, anyway, we'll get to that later. It seemed completely impossible, and the thoughts I would have about living sober centered around the idea that I simply didn't know what I would do as an alternative to drinking. For 8 long years, alcohol had soothed me in the worst moments. Alcohol gave me courage. It made me bold. It made me feel exhilarated, and that felt good. I wanted to feel that feeling all the time, as much as I could. Little did I know, God was up to something, and he would eventually lead me to see that I was all those things without the alcohol. And better yet, I would be even more courageous and even more bold without the effects of alcohol blunting my true personality. When I went inside the building, there was a door and a window to my right, and to the right of the lobby. There was a window where I was to sign in. I approached the sign-in sheet, and per the directions, I printed my first name and last initial only. I smiled at the woman behind the glass window as she cracked the window open and told me to go ahead and take a seat in the group room, which was the door to the left. My heart felt like it was trying to reset itself every 30 seconds. My breathing had picked up, and I started to wonder if this was a panic attack. My palms were sweaty, and I kept thinking that this moment felt unreal. Doubts were racing through my head. Was I really doing this? I found my way over to the door and entered the room where major life changes were about to take place. Little did I know I had chosen the right door. You know, life is like a game show at times. You literally must hope and pray that you've chosen the right door. The group was a large area with chairs set up in a circle to fill the entire space. There had to be at least 20 chairs. There was a blue book on each chair. That little book would be vital to my treatment and healing. The room smelled like fresh coffee, and I could hear the coffee machine percolating off to the right. There were probably 10 people seated in that room. People huddled here and there, and a few were seated in chairs, staring down at their cell phones. It was probably about 4 minutes to 9. I smiled to those who made eye contact as I made my way to the far side of the room. I chose a chair flanked by 2 empty chairs. As soon as I sat down, I looked up and a big husky white dude was staring at me across the room. Before I could look away, he blurted out, "First day, huh? You nervous? You gonna be all right." I loved his southern drawl. I smiled and mouthed the words, "Thank you," because suddenly my voice was gone. Unexpectedly, I couldn't speak. My hands were shaking, my pulse was racing again, and there was this overwhelming rush of emotions. The tears welled up in my eyes so surprisingly. I had no time to shield myself and hide from these strangers. The dam had broken. That one phrase, "you gonna be all right," sent me into a tailspin. It reaffirmed what I already knew to be true. I'm gonna be all right, but how and when? At what cost? The room quickly filled as I tried with all my might to pull my shit together. The reality of this new journey was setting in faster than I expected. People walked over and introduced themselves, patted me on my shoulder, handed me Kleenex. Each person had a piece of advice for me since it was my first day. Finally, a man walked in, and the people in the room erupted with excitement. As if the room wasn't already bustling and loud enough, jokes were thrown around and laughter exploded all around. I eventually came to understand what had just happened because in a matter of weeks, I was reacting the same way when Britt walked into the room.